All right, sports fans, I am so glad to be back with our good friend Bob Kudla with the Trade Genius and also tradewithlionel.com. Tradewithlionel.com. That is the URL. That's the address you must know. Tradewithlionel.com or call 1 800 949 1408 and tell them that Lionel sends you. Bob, tell us what's great, scare us, make us happy, give us the poop.
That sounds like the next 6 weeks of trading.
Yes.
So, hey, so this is what's happening right now. As you guys know, when we talked last time and the time before that, we said look for a market sell-off after the inauguration, and it really has nothing to do with Trump. You typically have a market sell-off between the February 20th to March 20th. We exactly had that. I think we're down 10% overall. We're chopping this week here a little bit. And I would say by next Tuesday, so it's 21st, 22nd, 23rd, by the 25th, we should be probably bottomed out if we haven't already bottomed out last Friday. And we're looking for a 6 to 10 week rally. And so we're paralleling very closely the year 2001 when you got the tech market over hit its nadir, if you will, and then it rolled down for 2.5 years. But it wasn't a broad market sell-off. We then had energy and uranium and gold and silver actually took the mantle, the baton, if you will, and ran with it. So we aren't looking for what I would call broad liquidation of the market. We're looking for a rotation right now. And you can see it today. Gold is up over 3,000 now. Gold is extremely undervalued. We could be arguing that now for a decade, but it's starting to break free. And there's a lot of unnatural shorting in that market in general. And what I mean by unnatural shorting is that if you and I tried to short the stock market, we would be limited by the amount of margin that we would have. The brokerage firms would not put themselves at risk, allowing a trade to get so out of balance that I personally couldn't cover it, right? And they'd have to try to take legal means to get that money back. But in the meantime, Charles Schwab would be on the hook. They don't allow that to happen. However, the big bullion banks do it as a normal course of business. And if they blow up, then that usually gets pushed on to the Federal Reserve systems around the world, which i.e. means the taxpayer deals with it, just like what happened in 2008. They're starting to exit those trades because they know. And it's like the best analogy I give people, when people, what I call unnaturally short, they shorted a position without having sufficient offset or sufficient margin, okay? So if it goes against them, their entire business is at risk. I mean, like their depositors, their partners, their insurers. And so it's like a beach ball being held down. At some point, as they exit the market, the force of the beach ball underwater gets lifted up, and it just doesn't come to the surface. It erupts out of the water, and that's what we're expecting to see in this environment. And you can see it more naturally at Bitcoin because Bitcoin doesn't have a strong. Well, they don't really have an unnatural market because you have to match up. You can't short something without having margin and blah blah blah. And so Bitcoin moves up and down like this because you're having these liquidations back and forth. Well, the gold market's been suppressed because they just kept throwing more and more capital into it to keep it down. Well, they're exiting that now. In fact, they canceled some of these banks out of the brokerage systems now, and some of these big banks have been exiting the system. So we think gold's going to fly. So everything ties to me like a 2001 event. The tech wreck is probably tech wreck version 2025 is upon us. And so, being gold, uranium, obviously, look, Trump needs to have really solid energy prices. What I mean by solid, meaning no surprises and a slow drift down so that he can get inflation under control in that area. So, the more energy production that can go into uranium and coal, which are pretty cheap inputs, once you build the capital infrastructure, that helps, electricity prices, and then on oil, drill, baby, drill. So we're big fans of long energy, oil, gas, uranium. I'm not a big coal guy. I'd have to kind of wait and see. But he talked about clean coal yesterday, and then I'm really reluctant on the tech side. There's a couple plays in there that might be interesting to me, but we take it case by case. But from a macro standpoint, avoid tech and long commodities. We just had really good trades in MP, which is the rare earth company out here. If you ever drove from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, right when you get to the border, you go up this big, long 5-mile grade up to about 2,500 feet. And on the side of the road is all these tailings. Well, that's where the MP is. That's where they're mining rare earths in the United States, right there off the highway. And that's been a good trade. They just closed that yesterday. We had a nice run. FCX, which is a copper. Trump's going to create a copper cartel, if you will. He's going to protect the copper producers in the United States, protect the uranium producers in the United States, the antimony producers in the United States. So you want to buy what they're protecting because they're going to keep the pricing from being leveraged by foreigners, basically to undercut them. And so we had a nice trade with the FCX. Remember, United States, FCX, they have 5 copper mines in the United States. And the only thing I'm going to say that, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but it's important, is you want to own things that are really produced here in the U.S. And when I say U.S., I mean Canada too. Not that they're going to become a state anytime soon, but we kind of share the same governance, if you will. So, you have, situations where you want to have Hecla mining for silver. You want to have Coeur d'Alene mining for gold. You want to have FCX for copper. You want to have MP for rare earths. You want to have, I forget the name off the top of my head, but it's U.S. Antimony. It's actually a public company. The symbol escapes me at the moment. And et al. And then I have ExxonMobil as my oil trade. So, and I also own C&Q as my Canadian oil sand play. And those are all solid companies, and they're all making money. And I think they'll survive everything but what they call a deflation liquidation event. And with that, we have PLT.
What effect are tariffs having on this? The threat of tariffs, actual tariffs? How do we read
Yes, let's assume tariffs happen, okay? Because right now there's a lot of negotiation going on. Is that tariffs are ultimately deflationary, not inflationary. And then they're ultimately then wage inflationary. See, there are 2 types of inflation out there. There's what's called wage inflation, which causes inflation, meaning I make more money. So ergo, I can buy more things, which means that unless my supply is outrunning that new demand, prices are going to rise. That's not inflation that's not an inflation you worry about. The inflation you worry about is that at the same time those wages are going up, Lyndon Johnson is printing money because he wants to run a war and he wants to run his new domestic agenda. So when money supply increases, that's bad inflation. When base money increases and velocity increases, that's good inflation. So eventually we'll get good inflation. But more importantly for the country is that you need to have a bigger base. Right now, our manufacturing base is like this, okay? And so, we don't have enough of it. We need it more like this, where, look, we don't want to manufacture everything because, you only have so many inputs, if you will. So some things need to be done at countries that what I would call lower on the value chain. But we've given up too many things that shouldn't be lower on the value chain. Like why are all locomotives built in China? Why are all ships built in China? That's stupid, right? That some of the stuff you just can't be mathematical on. Some of the stuff you have to be thinking. You have to be thinking protection of the seed corn, if you will. So you need to have a broader manufacturing base. If for no other reason is that if you had to go to war, you had a manufacturing base to support the effort, right? But those jobs are higher paid, and they tend to not be on the coasts. So what happened in this country that everybody went along the coast, right? So you have this an imbalance that needs to be decentralized again, because you're not going to build a locomotive factory in Santa Clara, California, right? That manufacturing plant's going to be built somewhere in the Midwest or what I call the New South, right? and vice versa. So you're going to see more of those manufacturing jobs coming back into the country. Pharmaceutical manufacturing is going to come back into the country, and so on and so forth. And so you're going to see that's going to be a good guy. So ironically, and bottom line is you're going to get we're not really going to get the inflation, by the way. He dropped energy down from $76 to $65, right? So for a couple months it's coming out. The other thing he's doing too, which is nobody really is talking about it yet, but it's going to be surprising. When you cut off the subsidies for the illegal aliens that entered the country over the last 4 years, and you deport as many of them as you can, you're creating additional rental stock back into the market, because these landlords were getting outrageous rents for these people. Well, that's gone. Mm-hmm. So now you have a decision to make. It's one thing to be able to get $4,000 or $5,000 a month for a 1-bedroom in New York,
right?
The Biden administration. It's a whole other thing to saying, okay, this person has to now personally come up with the money, right?
Right.
And they don't have it. So you're not getting $5,000 a month anymore. Oh, well, guess what? Maybe you kick them out. And then the people that have been living there are now are at $2,700 a month. I don't know the New York rates. I mean, that's California rates where I live. 1-bedroom apartment out here costs $2,700 a month, and and 2 bedrooms $3,200. The reason why I know that is because I have a daughter in a 2-bedroom apartment complex. So, and that's a little bit on the high end. Her building's brand new, and she's on.
You're very lucky. If you were in Manhattan, you would be getting a loft in a basement.
Yeah, yeah. That's why.
But that's an anomaly. That doesn't really matter. That's an anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can probably find a place in Brentwood that probably has the same problem. Yeah, but but that's not cheap. I mean, you have to make $100,000 a year to be able to. Now, she obviously has a roommate, but it's they both have to make at least 50 grand to be able to have some sort of life, right? And so those people don't make any money, and so they're going to be drifting back home over. If you don't get free money, you're not going to stay here, so that's why that app he did. So bottom line is rents are going to come down too. So remember, here's the 4 horsemen of economic apocalypse for people: food inflation, eggs are coming down, right? Rent inflation, aliens are going home, right? Healthcare inflation, we're going to see what Bobby Kennedy can do, and energy inflation is going away. All right, so you have 3 out of the 4 definitely going down. Healthcare is an interesting problem. I was in that business in the sense that I worked for a back office HR payroll financial services company. We provided cloud software support, and so we sold products that touch the benefits sphere. And so we're pretty familiar with, because you have to talk to benefit managers about your software. So we talk to those people, and basically, I would say 70% of all, I would say 80% of all controllable expenses are, or it's called end-of-life care. Okay. And most end-of-life care is defensive in nature. Okay. Some of it is that people just don't want to go, right? Or it's not so much they don't want to go, is that the kids don't want them to go, that kind of stuff. So there's, and then the other thing is defensive medicine, so I think there's things that they can do to probably break that curve a little bit. And the other thing too is that who knows what AI is going to look. AI is going to disrupt everything.
So thank you. And not only that, Bob, nobody can understand it. I've never seen more people. They think it's a robot or something, or they don't really understand the concept of it. And I mean, also, if I could, and I know we don't want to. What I love talking to you about is, yes, you're into the cold hard facts and the trades, but you have to look at the horizon. You have to be aware of you're in a fishbowl, but what's outside? What is happening? Recently, we are finding out that with Doge and Elon Musk and others, huge swaths, areas of money that nobody even knew about, things that were being promoted, things that were being propped up. Remember the old joke where they would say that the house was so bad, the termites were holding it up, that kind of a thing. When we call it USAID, but when you shut this seemingly limitless money that funded everything from Politico to MSDNZ to whatever it is. And all of a sudden, not only is that money removed, but the attitude and this terror and panic and that ripples and is felt elsewhere. What effect is that going to have, good or bad?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you. So we're already seeing it directly in DC. Air travel in Washington, DC is down 50%. All right. Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and another airline both reported adjustments to their Q1 revenue and profit forecast because of that's how much travel that Doge ripped out of the system. That's number one. Number two, the sales prices in Washington, D.C. are down 150,000 from its peak. And the amount of listings are multiplying like rabbits in April. Okay. And so you have that, but that's just the start of it. We're taking $1 trillion out of the money supply.
Yes.
What's the interesting thing is we don't know where that money actually went yet. So what I mean by that is we know it went to some entity, but that we haven't been told. Put it this way, Musk and Trump know already because their systems are so good that they already had the answer. They're just now peeling the onion for us. But we don't know how much of that just went overseas.
Right.
Right. And we don't know where the fraud went. I mean, you want to talk about the PPP thing is, or the EIDL thing is just absolutely amazing. Is that, I mean, look, when I did it with my company, I mean, we had one of our businesses got shut down completely because customers didn't need us because they were stuck. And so, we took just a small loan. I mean, less than like 11K, right? We went through a proctology exam.
Yeah.
Okay, to get that a little bit amount of money. And I don't know how these people got millions and millions of dollars. I don't get it at all. And and we had to show that we actually paid the people. Remember? I actually showed them that here's my 941s. We paid these people.
Right.
And I don't know how this stuff got through, and it's just amazing to me, and somebody's really dirty. Some banks are going to get probably hit really hard, but they had third parties that did this stuff. It's it's a cottage industry, but there's so much fraud in the system now with Doge. I think this Doge thing. I think this is absolutely a game changer going the rest of the world. No political entity can now say, we can't provide you that information,
right?
Because Elon Musk showed that you could, even with the worst system, the systems that were designed to be impenetrable, will penetrate it. And so they ripped through that.
And by the way, you bring up a good point. A lot of these things, you have folks who are sort of the white hats in DOJ and others who are saying, listen, Bondi, you say the word and we're building this case for you. Elon came in on day one. There was nobody in the inside that says, we got the key. They didn't know what this was. Almost immediately, through this brute force, quantum, super computing, whatever it was, it scared people. He figured this out immediately. And Bob, no matter how many people say, this isn't going to affect the ultimate, the deficit, we're talking trillions of dollars, just the debt service. Nonsense. What this did was it changed everything. And it also made people ask for the first time, where is this money? What is this? It's like, whatever you need, I will give it to you. There are people, when USAID came down, and also these, I don't want to be political, that's not it, but these organizations that basically funded everything from coups to revolutions to Politico magazine, you're going to find out that media companies, ballet, LGBT, name it. We don't know where this money went. So that's a game changer. I could talk forever about AI.
Well, no, I think it's really important because it affects everything. And so let me just keep on this thread because it actually ties back to what we're doing. Is that $1 trillion is going to come out of the system, whether he gets it all now or he's fighting these judges. But the next budget, that money's gone. He's not going to appropriate it, right? And
Right.
but by next year, there's going to be so many people in court, trying to justify the fraud that I think everybody's going to be playing defense on that. But that will drive down the deficit and the need for new bond issuances, which is going to drive down interest rates. So that's the other thing they're doing here, is that they're driving this thing down, where instead of you having to submit $2 trillion for new bond issuances, now you're less than $1 trillion. Okay, there is a need and a desire for U.S. Treasury bonds. Okay, but they're not going to get it at 6% now. They're going to be getting it now at 2 and 3% again, which is going to ripple through the rest of the country. And I'll leave you with this. I think when we're all said and done, we're going to find out the entire $32 trillion of United States debt was fraudulently conveyed to third parties. And I think the American people are going to be absolutely apoplectic. And if they find out that trillions went to China, either through the gangs or state-sponsored fraud or whatever, is that Trump can just simply say, the bonds you have are worthless to us. You have no claim to them. We're just gonna. I think you're gonna start seeing some of that. You're gonna see money. I think. Look, here's my bottom line. The whole thing is that this is the global. People talk about the globalists. Basically, it's old European monarchy that never really wanted to give up power. Right. They just went behind the scenes, and now. Their tools are being destroyed through technology. If you notice, these technologist guys that were going along, look, all these guys are former Democrats. Okay, when I say Democrats, probably Democrats in the most pedestrian way.
Right.
They weren't Republicans, but like you're looking at Mark Andreessen, you're looking at Elon Musk, you're looking at
right.
Joe Rogan, you're looking at all these guys, right? They would consider themselves Democrat nationalists, right? Our country first. Dave Sachs, all those guys, and even from Zuckerberg in there. Zuckerberg was simply a coward. He just was afraid to.
Thank you for saying that, because he was almost reading a hostage letter where he said, "You don't understand it. Thank you for rescuing me. They called and yelled at me." This was a guy who's basically telling, "I'm not one of them." Let me throw one thing out very quickly.
This is Zuckerberg.
right. Jeremiah Denton.
You're blinking into the camera.
Remember Jeremiah Denton, the POW, who says torture. He was spelling out torture. There was, believe it or not, very, very quickly, when Silicon Valley really started, the first group were these people who wanted to do good, and they were philanthropists, and they really, honest to God, before they were either grabbed by In-Q-Tel or DARPA, whoever it was, they were into changing the world and having, sitting on a beanbag chair and just eschewing the whole notion of corporate stuff. Well, that's over. That spirit, though, is kind of sort of still there. Now, before I forget, let me, if I could, be a little laudatory here. Hang on a minute. I want to show some of the love. Well, hang on a minute. This is terrible. There we go. You may be better reading this. These are some of the love letters that you get, the attaboys, so to speak. This is somebody. Can you read this, or should I?
Yeah, no, this is one of my customers. He said he followed us on TSLL, which is what's called a leveraged long trade in Tesla, and Mistex is a leveraged long trade in MicroStrategy, and we sometimes day trade those or do what's called short swing trades with those. And he made a couple $1,000s on it. He's thanking me for that. And
we have another one of these. If you can read that one,
I will as soon as it comes up.
Can you see it?
So I see this.
Okay, wait a minute. Hang on.
Your screen is.
Okay, hang on.
I don't think that was the attaboy.
Is this the one?
You're still getting your
okay.
The screen saved.
Let me try this. Can you see that one?
I cannot.
You cannot. That's very interesting, because I can see it. It says, "Hey Bob, good call on my."
Oh, here it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Oil puts. So here's an interesting trade, guys. So one thing that we do at Trade Genius, we know certain trades set up all the time. it's like and I hate to use the word easy money because I don't want to oversell this stuff, but there's a trade with these leverage ETFs. What I mean by leverage ETFs, they try to get 1 or 2 times or 3 times the base move of a stock. A lot when they get really overvalued, which they tend to do if they trend, when that momentum breaks, you get these really strong snap downs. Well, our algorithm looks for those things, and I put those trades out. And that one was Boyle put 163% in a day, or is that 16.3? 16.3, I can't really read it. 163. He probably did options on it, which I do. So you do options on it. You don't really want to short these things. You just put options. And he did. Somebody else actually followed that trade too. I sold Boyle a few days ago, secured my profit, and he switched to coal. So you go back and forth. Coal and Boyle are 2 sides of the natural gas. Yeah. So
Let me see about this one. Now can you read this one? Now
I think it just needs a minute, so I'll fill the time here. Here it goes, popped up. Bob, I'll thank you personally in Tennessee. Oh, this is funny. For the additional federal tax I have to pay.
Yes.
Trump, I'm doing this for you. Okay. But yeah, so he made, and that Chris in Tennessee is a really good trader, and so one of the things that we do is we have interactions, like you and I are talking. I have a room that we have interactions with people, so you can just do basic trading where you just have a chat room and you get our signals, you get our indicators, or you can be in a VIP room, which it costs you more money, but not much more money, and what I charge in a year, those guys already made in a day. Okay, so we don't really charge that much compared to what you get.
How much time do I need to spend a day to this? If I want to be serious enough to make it worthwhile, I'm not going to lose, become a full-time trader. How much time? What kind of time allocation does this require?
Yeah, so what I would tell you, in the trading room, 80% of all trades are done in the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the trading day. I don't normally trade the first half hour because you kind of want to see what the battlefield looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the West Coast from 7 to 8:30 or 9. Most of your trades are done by then, and then you come back to that. Yeah, you come back to the last hour, and even if you're not day trading, even if these are just longer term setups, the best setups happen in the morning. And at the end of the day, there's a couple tricks to whether you're positioning something for tomorrow. And other than that, look, as soon as I'm off the phone with you, I'm leaving. I'm going down to the ocean and going for a walk with my wife. One of those trades that I don't think you did show is I just made $2,900 on a trade on MicroStrategy this morning. So I'm done trading, if you will.
That's not it.
And I'll come back in the room. I have a partner who will fill in the room while I'm on. And so, if you make $500 a day, you're making $120,000 a year. So if you make $3,000 a day, obviously you don't make that every day. You say, don't overtrade, just leave. Right. And we have swing trades set up too, which I have a track record that people can access and look at.
But what's also, but it's fun though. It's not. Put it this way, I watch every now and then for maybe 20 seconds a gambling show, a poker show. Oh, that's great. Here's the flop. This is betting, whatever it is, investing, but also keeping in mind what's happening in the world. None of this is you're just going like this. It's for a reason. You have to be, if you're like me and you know what's going on in the world and you can take that and apply it to an investment strategy, it makes it even more exciting because you have to be aware of the world in order to really take advantage of all the facilities that are provided to you.
The difference between trading and gambling, people try to equate those two. That
was not a.
No, I know you're not, but it's a non sequitur, and gambling is a whole different approach. Other than poker, it's all chance. Poker, there's some skill in there, but you still don't know what's coming at you. In the stock market, there's certain things that are just simply true. Okay, and so people trade against those truisms at their own risk. And so if you, like we're talking about today, if you knew, like I know what's happening with the money supply collapsing in the country, I'd be a fool not to be starting to invest in the bond market, right? Mm-hmm. Because less bond issuance means higher prices, which means lower yield. I could profit from that, okay? And the same thing, with AI, if I wouldn't be starting a law firm today, that's for damn sure, right? Because all a lawyer is, and same with a family medical doctor, all they are, those guys got those jobs because they're really good at memorization, right?
Mhm.
You're an attorney, look how much memorization you had to do. If I could sit next to you and I had Grok 3 in front of me,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
and the judge and somebody's throwing things at me and I'm just typing in the Grok 3,
Mhm.
Grok 3 is throwing up these statutes and these court cases in the past to me. And I could just sit up there and I could pontificate like the rest of them. And
The only problem is if they say, Mr. Kudla, call your first witness, and you say, just a minute, Judge, here's my Grok 3. You go, no, you. And Mr. Kudla, you just pissed off the jury. I'm just kidding.
Those are face-to-face litigators. 90% of almost law stuff is done behind the scenes.
Listen, not only that, coding. I've got a friend of mine. Listen to this. I've got a friend of mine who is a radiologist, and he actually he's one of the best mammogram readers, and he has to get like sometimes a magnifying glass to look at this. What if I could tell you I've got every mammogram that's ever been recorded since the beginning of mankind? I can run through this in a picosecond, a heptosecond, and not only that, zoom in and learn every time I do it, and will do in 30 seconds what it could take the entire humankind 1,000 years to do. Forget it. It's done.
I just saw that they said Grok 3 was getting higher accuracy ratings than the radiologists on reading not just mammograms.
Do you
MRI
not? I got to ask this question: Is there one day a Grok 3 that will replace a Bob Kudla? I mean, you couldn't do that.
Well, no, I joke with my people all the time. Is that I call it the maybe Grok 4, I call it the Kudla killer, right? But there's always and I woke up thinking about this morning. You can't code insight, and I think the reason why.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the reason why I'm different, and sometimes I'll just set humility aside. I think the reason why I've done well in life is I think I have good insight. I think I could draw parallels to things that aren't obvious to people.
Well, you know what you're saying is, and this is something very interesting. You have this thing which people don't understand. By the way, very quickly, there was a study years ago that says what's the difference between old people and young people in terms of the way they think. Young people were really good at doing like whack-a-mole and quick little things like that. But older people were great at looking at this situation and which one's different. And that's called judgment. And there's this thing called judgment, perspective, and understanding like, well, that kind of thing. In chess, there's no such thing as that. In a lot of things, in reading a radiology, but in making decisions and perspective and understanding and humanity and compassion. But one day, that's going to be learned too. And one day, an AI piece is going to be granted human status. As they don't forget Sophie in Saudi Arabia, the robot, they said that you are a person. Anyway, I don't want to get into that.
No, but it's really important to know. And why it goes back to trading is that people always say, look, what happened, I don't know if you remember in 1998, there was long-term capital management, right? That was probably the first, I wouldn't call it AI, but it was the first algorithmic trading of size. Well, enough of the math guys got together. Well, math is math, right? Mm-hmm. So all the codes converged. Well, in trading, when everything converges, you're on the wrong side of the damn boat. Okay. And so when you're mathematical and that computer says sell, okay, and every computer at the same time said sell, well, there's a thing in the market called every seller needs a buyer.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, all of a sudden now the buying algorithm says there's no way in hell I'm buying, there's too many sellers. And then you get these flash crashes. Right. And so we've had two of them now. So I fear a third. And so because everybody's algorithmically trading right now, I mean, everybody's trading derivatives now. So you have to, that's that judgment and insight. You have to sometimes lean a little bit away. Grok would tell me I'm an idiot because all the indicators are telling me it should still go higher. I've been asking Grok, So when do you see reversals coming? So
Mhm.
what I want to try to understand what they understand.
Mhm.
That's the other thing. You could use Grok as what do they know, right? It's good to know what your enemy knows. So you
Right.
have to understand when do you think these guys are going to do a reversal on you. And so those are things you can never really compute. Steve Jobs said it best. I don't do market research because my customers don't always know what they want. And I think those are the kind of things that, and I'm joking too, because I mean, look, if a computer replaces me and Trade Genius goes away, I'm still trading, so
Right.
I'll be just fine. But I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime because all my customers aren't computers. My customers are people. And, we have the best tools in the world. But if you don't follow the tools, you're going to lose money, period. Period. We know over time, if you just follow the signals that come from the system, you have a certain win rate and you have a certain profit factor. That's mathematical. I've a
Mhm.
1,000 trades, I think a big enough sample that shows that, right? Okay, but if you sit there and say, well, I'm going to front run that signal and then it reverses on you, well, you're not Grok 3, right? You're Bob
Mhm.
Kudla, and you just took your own
Mhm.
damn trade.
Right.
And look, I still do it today. You still fight the system. We're human,
Right.
and so I think you're always going to have that interaction. But
Well, I got to tell you, this is the best one out of the 17,000 of these that we've done by Grok's estimate. This is the best one so far. This has been the most interesting. Bob Kudla, tradewithlionel.com. Now, if somebody said, God, I want to do this, how does Lionel get credit? Hey, Grok, how does Lionel get credit for this after having presented this genius, this trade genius, Bob Kudla? What do they do?
well, you either go to tradewithlionel.com. We have a couple trade bundles already set up for you. They're already pre-discounted and a little extra if you go through Lionel's side. And I give him a portion of those proceeds so that this basically to support his channel. So we call it a win-win-win, right? So I win for
Absolutely.
the new customer. Lionel wins because I'm scratching his back a little bit. You win because I'm going to hopefully make you more money than the alternative. But if you don't, you come straight to my site. Just make sure you tell people that you heard it here, and I give him credit anyway.
Good.
And,
Good.
uh,
Good.
and if Lionel knows me too, he can see that I give him credit on trades that he on deals that he didn't
Bob
see.
Cutler, I don't want to go into the into the dynamics, but you do know I trust no one. So I'm thinking to myself, this guy's legit. He goes, yes. He goes, no, you don't understand this. There's nobody to run. I don't trust anybody. Anyway, because that's more of a reflection of my world and the dark underbelly that I have to commiserate with. In any event, Bob Kudla, thank you so much, my friend. Let us do it again. You are immense, Bob Kudla. TradeWithLionel.com or call 800-949-1408 and tell them Lionel sent you. Have a great day, my friend. We'll do it again.
Yeah, thank you. World's going to be fun next couple of years.
Indeed. Have a good day, sir.